So we talk a lot about how we want the answer, right? We're bliss junkies chasing the ultimate truth. But think about it, aren't we more happy when we're seeking the truth? Aren't we all secretly wonder junkies? Isn't our addiction to the question itself, you know? Once you find the answer, you risk completion. You know, we talk about wanting to find ourselves. We talk about being found. But isn't it more fun to get lost? Aren't we all wanderers ultimately? Aren't we wandering? Aren't we seeking? Why do we love open spaces? Why do open spaces have more appeal than beautiful, cozy, small spaces? Why do we look at the infinite ocean and actually feel a sense of reverence and awe? Instead of being afraid, we look at it as it beckons us to the unknown, to the mystery, to the question. See, that's what it's really all about. That is the state of consciousness that we want to be at, right? We want to be the traveler in search of signification. When you find it, it's over, you know? It's not about the answers, it's about the better questions. You know that quote. And that's really it. That's what I'm looking for in these spaces. That's the Lord of the Ring landscape New Zealand brochure fantasy of getting lost in it, right? It's only when we're lost that we're found.
Now, sometimes people say that you can't describe awakening as a quote-unquote experience. And I notice even as you recount this, there are aspects where it's hard to find the words because it wasn't being processed through that part of your mind. So if it's not exactly an experience, what's happening outside of, I mean, you can't quite give a visual for it, you can't quite say that you felt this or that. That's very curious to me.
It's not an experience as such, because an experience is something that is added to you, one could say. When you experience something, it's something new that is added to your life. One might call it a life experience. But this is definitely not a life experience, and it is the opposite of something being added to you. So in that sense, it's the opposite of an experience, because instead of something being added to you, something is being removed from you. So something that before was heavy and looked substantial is being, something dissolves rather than something being added. And it leaves behind something that, again, is not entirely new, but had been obscured before. So it's not an adding onto, and that perhaps is even for spiritual seekers an important thing to consider, because many people are looking for some spiritual experience as if it were something that can be added to them, and that's not how it is. In that sense, one could say it's a negative experience. So, or you could say it's a loss rather than a gain. But it's a beautiful loss. But in the transitional moment of loss, it can still be painful, because it is a kind of death. So you lose something, but what you gain is not something that comes, that just it emerges, had been there before always, your essential reality, but it's not added on. Hard to explain, I can only point. So the important thing is not to look for an experience not to look for an adding on to me, because that's, everything else is like that. One wants to have more experiences. And that's the big minus experience, not a plus experience.